In this tutorial, we will learn how to represent ionic bonding. We have two types of atoms, metals and nonmetals. When metal and nonmetal atoms react together, they form an ionic bond. The metal atom will lose electrons, so it will become a positively charged ion, which is called a cation. On the other hand, if the atom is a nonmetal, it will gain electrons to become a negatively charged called an anion. So ionic bonding involves the reaction of a metal atom and a non-metal atom. The metal atom will lose electrons and form a positive ion, whereas the non-metal atom will gain electrons and form a negative ion. Let's take an example. Sodium and chlorine. Sodium is a metal, whereas chlorine is a non-metal. This is the electron configuration of sodium. It has one valence electron, so it has one outer electron in the outer shell. The sodium atom will lose this electron to become stable and have a full outer shell of electrons, whereas chlorine, which have 7 valence electrons, will gain one electron to have a stable electronic configuration. So sodium and chlorine will form stable ions. Sodium will become Na+. Sodium will lose one electron to become Na+, whereas chlorine will become Cl- because it gained one electron. The electrostatic attraction between the oppositely charged ions Na+ and Cl- is called ionic bonding. This is one way of representing the ionic bonding between sodium and chlorine. The electrons of sodium are represented as crosses, whereas the electrons of chlorine are represented as dots. Sodium will lose one electron, whereas chlorine needs to gain one electron. So sodium will transfer one electron to chlorine. This is the electron coming from sodium. So this is sodium chloride, NaCl. Actually, we can also show this more simply by just showing the electrons in the outermost shell. So sodium has only one electron, it will be represented by a cross, whereas chlorine has 7 electrons represented as dots. When sodium loses this electron, it will become an ion, Na+. Notice the charge over here. And chlorine will gain one electron to become Cl-. This is the electron gained from sodium. So this is known as a dot and cross diagram.